Today we are in Cameron Park and we're at the home of one of my dear friends' parents' house. And a lot of times I get calls from past clients and friends saying, hey, it's really time for mom and dad to downsize, or it's time to move them into 55 and older, or even assisted living. And what does that process look like? Well, today I'm going to walk you through it beginning to end while we assess a home and determine what it is we should do to help our clients get top dollar. Let's go check this house out. So the first thing that we like to do is figure out what we need to do. So oftentimes our parents' homes are dated, and sometimes it's as little as carpet, paint, and staging to get those homes to the level where we can get them top dollar, and sometimes they need a little bit more work. What I like to do is consult with an interior designer, and I use Dana Guzman at Guzman Designs. And she's going to tell us what we can do to maximize this investment and help our sellers get top dollar.
I think a carpet paint and stage is going to let somebody move right in and live here and love it. And as they live here forever, make changes on their own.
Okay, now sometimes people ask, hey, look, my mom's backsplash is a little bit dated. Do you think that we should change that out? And what I always tell them is that having a good interior designer doing some staging can really make a difference. Now, a lot of our sellers, they balk at staging, they don't want to pay for it, but I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot less expensive to stage a house than to completely remodel a kitchen.
Yep.
So in this particular case, we are painting the cabinets and giving them a fresh look. We're gonna do a full interior paint, and then instead of replacing these tiles, Dana is going to stage around it. And tell me a little bit about why you stage the countertops. Is it to draw the eyes up?
It's just to make the home feel beautiful and homey and warm and current and like you want to live here.
All right, well, this is the kitchen.
Yep.
Let's take a look at a few other things. Let's talk about this light fixture here in the dining room.
So this particular floor plan, while it's big and open, you have dining space here and you have a dining space here, more casual and more formal. The sellers have already agreed to remove the chandeliers because they are a little grandma chic. So they're gonna make that more current, a light fixture that's up so that it gives you more mobility and options of what you wanna do in this room. If you've got a hanging chandelier, you've got one option is to put a dining room table underneath it.
Let's take a look at the formal living room.
All right.
Okay, what do you envision for this space?
This super cool, sectional, comfy, cozy. They're gonna watch TV here. Their family's gonna hang by the fireplace here. Their Christmas tree is going right here in the corner so you can see it from the street. So it's gonna have a nice flow, fluid, not feel too squished and cramped, but just cozy.
And now that I think about it, this is actually the family room.
Yeah.
Because wait, so there's more. This space would traditionally be, right, a formal?
A formal, yeah.
Okay, so we've got some kind of grandma chic going on here too. So we're gonna go ahead and see what we can do. A lot of times people want to replace the entire chandelier when we can get the same effect with just like a inexpensive flat light fixture. Because if you do really good design in a space, you don't notice the light fixture so much. So at Navigate, we really focus on ROI. How do we help you net the most by spending the least? And one of the things that we also like to do is to check out all of the inspections and all of the reports before we start anything, because it's not always the best investment to do things like any type of design work if there are tons of repairs that need to be done. So in this particular house, we've already done the inspections, we've got a brand new roof, and we have very minimal things that need to be done. So it is just simply cosmetic, and our designer can kind of hide some of the grandma chicness, if you will. Okay, my friend, so what are we gonna do with this half bath? You can see that it was almost updated at one point with some beadboard and definitely an upgraded sink back in the day, but what are we gonna do about this space?
We are going to add a mirror, and the sink we're going to update because while it is pretty, it's definitely a specific piece, and more neutral is going to attract more people, and they're not going to think, oh, I need to replace this right away.
What are you gonna do?
We're going to paint. We're going to stage the heck out of it. Everyone's going to want to sleep here. They're going to want to stay here. It's going to feel like a retreat.
So we've got this great outdoor covered space, but it's not really feasible for us to repair these cracks. What do you recommend? How do we make this look more attractive?
Well, one, I love this outdoor covered space because you can be out here all year long. I would put a big indoor-outdoor rug, cool seating area, maybe gas fire pit, sit around it. Just comfy and yeah.
But check out the rest of the backyard. That's the thing with some of these older homes is you get these premium lots with these stunning old trees that, you know, you just don't get on newer construction homes. And this one has a cute little pond and they're getting the waterfall tuned up. But I don't know if we have a budget to stage back here. So should we just get it super clean? Like fire safety, we're not supposed to bark around or close to the house anymore, but the cost of rock is really expensive. So again, we're just trying to maximize by spending the least to gain the most.
Cleaning up back here would be like huge because this is such a beautiful space that they've already landscaped very well with the big flagstone pavers, the DG walkway going all around, the little planter areas. I think cleaning it up just shows its potential and yeah, would be great.
Okay, now what about
if we can take those off and repair the door? I highly recommend.
Okay, I guess you guys are gonna have to wait for the finished product to see if we get rid of the lion's heads. Sean, what do you think?
I think they're gonna go.
All right. Well, Dana, thank you.
You're welcome.
Shake your good hand. I hope your surgery is healing well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Thanks. Okay, the next time you see me, this house will be done and ready to list. And did you wager that these would stay or that these would go? See you in a sec. So remember, our videographer, Sean, our designer, Dana, we all had a little wager. Would we be able to convince the sellers to remove the door knockers? Remember the lion's head? And the big reveal? Yes, thank you. Took a little bit of a pushback, but we got them removed. And now this is ready for a 2025 buyer to step in and make it their own. And I'm about to show you our big reveal of this wonderful listing here in Cameron Park. But before we begin, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. I would love to continue sharing all of these great videos with you. As you remember, this is Mom's house, and Mom has moved into a 55 and older community, and her amazing, loving daughter has taken the time to hire one of her friends, me, who is an expert at helping sellers maximize their return on their investment. Now, perfect is the enemy of sold in real estate. So this is an older home and we just can't make it perfect. But what we can do is make a few minor changes, mostly cosmetic, because this house was in wonderful condition, as you remember, to help our sellers get top dollar. So let's go inside and show you the few changes that we made to spend the least to make the most. As a reminder, here is the before. And here is our after. We did very little. We removed the Grandma Chic chandelier, did a fresh coat of paint, and amazing light staging. What a difference. And remember the family room before. And here is the family room after. And while the kitchen had a nice open floor plan, we did have these two spaces for kind of a casual breakfast nook and a more formal. But we did remove the chandelier and we added canned lighting so that this space could be transitional for a future buyer. Now, as we talk about return on investment, you'll see that this island did not get painted. Ideally, a real estate agent would want to paint the island to make it a bit more modern, either with a darker base color or to match the white. But in this particular case, we didn't want to spend $1 unless we knew we were going to make $2, and we didn't have the ROI on this investment. So hopefully the staging makes up for it, and the things on the counters will draw the eyes up, and then this is a perfect weekend project for our future buyer. And this, my friends, is the power of paint and good staging. Here's the before, and here is the after. And after diving into the numbers and really taking a look at our Equity Maximizer worksheet, there just wasn't enough of a return to do anything with this half bath but staging. Remember, we were talking about replacing the sink, but now this will also be a future project for the new homeowner, or they might end up falling in love with it. When you're transitioning mom and dad to their fourth quarter living, you really do want to work with a seasoned real estate agent. We know all the tips and tricks to help you maximize the return on this lifetime investment. But what I find is when we have them in the home, we usually end up getting less. So utilizing some of these new programs, even though they might feel a little bit expensive to pay for a bridge loan, we definitely see a return on that investment. Taking the time to just explore all the options and making a decision that's best for them is always the best thing to do. There isn't a templated game plan that works for every single parent. Sometimes situations are going to require that we have to keep mom and dad in the home. And that can be burdensome, especially if there's memory issues and things like that. So step one is to contact your best local agent. And if you are in the Tri-County area of Sacramento, I think that's me, and I would love to get your phone call and have these conversations, preferably way in advance to when they actually need to happen. For example, if you get a medical diagnosis and you've got plenty of time to work parents through a situation, having a long-term plan is less stressful. It gives them time to think about it, time to prepare, and time to get their affairs in order. Because in my experience, most parents, they really do not want to leave their home. So another thing to think about is if your parent's home is just in need of a ton of repairs, like it needs a new roof and new windows and new floors, maybe it's not the best time to invest a ton of money in a home that will not meet their future needs. Sometimes it's better to sell that property just to a cash investor who will then go in and make the repairs and improvements and flip it. This is a really unique option, and we've got a long list of investors where we can just give you a cash offer at a moment's notice, and then you can tie up either a future purchase or additional care, or even use those funds to build an ADU on your property and know exactly when that scheduled money is coming. That's a really nice option if your home needs a lot of work. I don't recommend spending a ton of money fixing up mom and dad's house. Sometimes we just don't see that return on investment. We call that deferred maintenance. And a lot of times what we see is someone might have needed to put on a new roof maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And now all of a sudden it's a requirement for the sale. And what that means is that the buyer's lender will not move forward unless the home has a new roof. Well, mom and dad have to spend about $30,000 to put on that new roof. And so in their minds, they're thinking the house is now worth $30,000 more. And that's just not how deferred maintenance works. Deferred maintenance is deferred maintenance. That roof should have been replaced. It does not add to the value of the home. So if you have several large ticket items like roof, HVAC, and things like that, it might be better to sell the home directly to an investor. What we can do is we can get you multiple options. We can get an offer from one of our cash guys or 2 or 3 cash guys, and then tell you what the house would sell for on the open market utilizing our equity maximization worksheet, and then let you make the decision of which way you'd like to go. One of the biggest things that overwhelms most sellers is there's always this one thing that they wish they would have done when they lived in the home, whether it's remodeling a kitchen or refinishing a driveway or expanding a deck. We don't think about those things. We let the home inspection and the pest inspection and the roof inspection determine what is important. Cosmetic and having a home be attractive online to have the buyers show up to see it really is equally important. But in this particular case, this home was solid. The seller had replaced the roof already, but when we looked at the deck, we knew that there were some boards that were going to be called out in an inspection. So it did make sense to replace and repair this small deck because we knew that the buyer's lender would want that to be done for financing just to make it safe. Now, there are several different types of loans. So for a VA buyer, that VA buyer cannot have any Section 1 items, which are dry rot and things like that for a VA loan. Well, it was really hindering the veteran's ability to win because sellers were simply stopping taking VA financing. So they came out with a new form. What they're saying now is if you have the pest inspection company complete this form that basically says there's no active infestation, then they're going to close their eyes and ignore the Section 1 work. So be open-minded when it comes to VA financing. Now, FHA financing is a whole other ball of wax. That requires a lot more observations from an appraiser. And in most cases, we cannot have any chipping, peeling paint. Even a doghouse. If a doghouse has chipping, peeling paint, the inspector will call it out and it will need to be painted. The little covered bridges, same thing. Oftentimes, I'm bringing my old ranch truck to a property and picking things up and putting it on there before an inspection, so those things do not get called out by the lender. The most efficient financing is always going to be conventional financing, and that is anything that the appraiser notices that is, a big ticket item. They're really not calling it out, but they are adjusting on the appraisal for that. Hey, thank you so much for touring this house with us today. If you'd like a private tour, please contact me at info@teamnavigate.com. We would love to show it to you. And if you're looking for properties in the Tri-County area, my team and I would love to interview to be your agents.